Well, we're back for some Bleach Soul Resonance, and we're going to be hitting a little bit of a yoink and twist. Shout out Ludwig. Gikku posted on the Bleach Game News account on Twitter. Follow the Bleach Game News account for all of your Bleach gaming news. And it was essentially a speculative release order post going through an entire list of characters, right? So if you go here, you can see it, right? So we're going to read the post. And every time we get to a character, we're going to switch over and I'm going to come up with a character to replace that character. That way we have fundamentally different lists. Now, there is a rule. There's a hard rule I'm sticking to, okay? We cannot use TYBW versions of characters, though there are a lot of TYBW portraits here. And two, I have to give a reason for why they should be there. Now, one of these is going to be really hard because one of them is essentially confirmed, which is Vastalord, to be releasing sometime in 2026. I'm going to move him. Maybe I'll just keep him. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll just replace him in Vastalord. It was a lie. My beautiful devs, we thought we were getting Vastalord, but he's not hype enough. We're going with something else. So no TYBW characters, and every character must be different outside of the most obvious ones, of course, which are we already know that these are the TYBW characters. So let's read through the list, and then every time we get to a character that is not on the list, we'll pause and I'll come up with a replacement. So banner schedule up until March 2027. Speculated release order of character types and roles. This really is just how I would want the meta to progress. Finesse has thrown a lot of plans out of the window, and as of right now, with how Bambiena was handled, I'm a bit worried about Finesse. To explain to everyone, Yuryu was mentioned to be Finesse. Candace, they officially mentioned a Finesse support, but didn't say who would free up a slot if she's the Strike support, but it kind of just makes sense at this point to make all the Quincy's in the same team. Alright, let's stop there. One thing I want to say about the whole Finesse thing. I think, I've said this a bunch, the mistake was making Finesse at all. If you were going to call out a mistake. If you want to say anything's a mistake, the mistake is making Finesse at all. That's just like, I feel like we all agree on that. Once they make Finesse, they need to finish out the team, right? There wasn't really room, unless they made them like super universal, which they could have done with the whole thing that Gikku was saying, which is like maybe they dual support 2 typings, or maybe they kind of like flex support, but they were like, you know, blah, 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 blah. Wow. We've already talked about all this, right? So, I think it's right that they're just finishing the team. I hope they just finish the team. I don't want Candace to be a Strike support. Just finish the team. I'm done with like the whole like Finesse discourse. Just finish the team. Let's get it out of the way, and then let's not look at Finesse for a year, right? That's probably how I'm feeling. Finish Finesse, and then we go back to the other teams for like a year. You know what I mean? And to people being like, oh, why a year? It's like, well, Orihime 3 weeks, Yunohana 3 weeks, Vastalord 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks. You know, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, you know, we're like, maybe not literally, you know, a year, but like, we're going to be like 6 or 7 months in before we actually like start looking back at Finesse, if like all goes to plan. So I'll just say that. My chair is squeaking so much, dude. Anyway, we're going to read the reason for Orihime, then we're going to pick a new character. So Orihime, they mentioned Orihime by name in the recent dev note, and also mentioned the Strike support by name in the same dev note to be coming soon. Because of that, they should just drop Orihime Strike support after the TYBW collab. So we've got Orihime right here. Let me think on that. Yeah, you know what? Fuck all that Orihime stuff. We get out of there. You know what? Instead, we're gonna go Chad, dude. Chad should be the first official support unit for Strike. It makes too much sense. He has a grab mechanic in his kit. He could grab characters, sort of act as a team stun. This would allow them to incorporate more damaging and ability interrupting characters by prioritizing Chad as a stun to lock down these moving and more difficult bosses. Mechanically, he helps set up your DPS and tactic character to do damage windows while he is just like sort of wrestling with the character. Boom. We're getting Chad in there. Unohana. Unohana was also mentioned by name in the same dev note, and I think it's fitting for Retsu to be on a team with Kenpachi. I would also like for her to give extra buff specifically to Kenny. Pretty good. Pretty good, I have to say. You know what? No. We're going back to Old Man Zangetsu. Old Man Zangetsu and White Ichigo linking up. He gives specialized buffs to Bankai Ichigo, and White Ichigo gets buffed with more additional help for Bankai Ichigo specifically, or more specific help for Old Man Zangetsu specifically, thus creating the Blade Is Me, but with, I guess, Bankai Ichigo. Well, whatever. Who needs it? At least you get Bankai Ichigo, White Ichigo, and Old Man Zangetsu on a team. And it leaves Strike open for... It leaves Strike open for a Vastalord in the future. Thus, we sort of close the gap, close the conversation around the 3 Ichigo, or I guess the Zanpakuto Ichigo, you know, moment, right? So, let's get Old Man Zangetsu in this game. Vastalord, back in March, the devs did a stream where they said Vastalord will release in 2026. Considering this hype level, it makes sense for him to be the first any unit. As for him being Strike, he is very hands-on in the game's animated cutscenes and can do point-blank Seros, throw around buildings, etc. Could be Slash, but I think it would be very thematic for him to be on the same team as Oda He-Man. I want one Ichigo of each type. This is the only one I might cop out to because there's not really a replacement. I'll replace the other anniversary units. One sec. So yeah, let's just put Vastalord there. I mean, I can't really replace it. He's literally the first anniversary unit, like almost certainly. There's just nothing to do. Like I you know. So I'm just gonna leave him there. Yeah, Strike character is what it is. Stark, I think by December we'd need a Spirit Tactic replaced. Also, I think Aizen cannot be the Spirit Tactic, so I'm giving it to Stark. He's cool. Can have Lilinet come on field as part of the BF skill. Yeah, I agree. That's pretty cool. Okay. Alright. You know what, dude? Fuck all that. We need Neliel replaced, and we want it now. Instead of Stark coming out, we're gonna keep using B0 Aizen, our favorite, and we're gonna use Yamamoto instead to buff up True Shikai Ichigo to obscene levels, while also fulfilling the sort of fantasy of a burn character doing ailment damage, right? So we can have Yamamoto do big hits, we can have him have a big debuff, and he's doing burn. Maybe he affixes like Brittle or Cinder or something, and it makes the enemy take more damage. I think it'd be sick as hell. He doesn't need to be Bankai. He could just be, I don't know, he could be Yamamoto that shows up in the Soul Society, or in the Huakamundo Fake Kura Town arc, right? It's easy, right? Yeah, let's get Yamamoto in the game. He's definitely hype enough to be first anniversary as well, so I think that's easy. It also replaces the character we need. Stark and Yamamoto essentially fulfill the same thing, which is Thrust and Spirit need a replacement. Shunsui. Stark and Shunsui both being part of first Annie following headliner Vastalord Ichigo would be really cool and work well. Shunsui can also be Thrust Tactic. I wouldn't be opposed to it. He should definitely be a Tactic, however. Shunsui should. Oh, wait, shit. Oh, Strike. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, this would be instead of Soifon. Okay. This one kind of pains me because I love Shunsui. Shunsui is probably top 3 characters in the series for me, if not top 1. I like aesthetically, I like his story, I like his abilities. I don't know. And this has always been a thing for me. I didn't need TYBW to make this a thing. I think Shunsui is just amazing. I think he's awesome. So this one hurts, but I'm gonna say actually instead of getting a Strike replacement for Soifon, who is already a powerful character who just needs support, I'm gonna say that instead we get Yukitake. When is Yukitake really gonna show up, like in any other sort of instance? And I think right now when we're doing a bunch of Adonkar, focused things, we could just use Yukitake. He could fill in for Spirit. I think he could also be a character who could be a support, but let's say is someone who's like an elemental damage character, someone who needs to replace Aizen, we make him our Spirit replacement, our Spirit Tactic replacement. Next is this is like Byakuya. With how Byakuya's first variation was treated, a Shukai Hakutaiken DPS Byakuya would be an amazing redemption. It's gonna, yeah, I mean, what does he have him as? full DPS, I imagine. So replacement for Kenpachi. I mean, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm actually not gonna... I don't even know if I need to pause here, because I already kind of have an idea of who I want this to be. And it's Shinji. This character makes way too much sense. They could have him pull the mask down. If they have him pull the mask down, and we do still have White Ichigo as the tactics character, which is most likely a thing, now we're talking about having two characters pulling the mask down on a team. That seems really cool. I guess, you know, White Ichigo technically just goes Bankai, but you know what I mean? Like a hollow character and then a hollow, if you infuse like Shinigami character, right? Like, I think it's pretty cool. I think Shinji is a character who's already in the game. He's already a model in the game, so it wouldn't be too difficult to realize him. I think that Shinji is a character that people like, and because of that, I don't think it's like a you know, outlandish thing to suggest him. Yeah, I don't know. I like that. I like that. It doesn't have to be 2IBW, obviously. It would be the one who shows up to fight Aizen before Aizen, like, frauds him. So, you know. Hogyaku Aizen. Insider info revealed Aizen should be CNY, which is why I'm placing him here. It'd be a little over a year since the previous Aizen. I think he's a CNY level hype. Yeah. I mean, Aizen can show up anytime, right? Would be a good way to segue into Deicide and finish up with fake Karakura. Then for 1.5 Annie, we get Dangai Mugetsu. Also, I do not think he can be Spirit Tactic. The main reason, after fusing with the Hogyaku, he has no reason to be careful and was extremely careless. Is more full assault type of behavior. I think that's true. I also think he's just not a supportive type. He sort of stands alone. So that's a really fair read. Ah, man. So what do I have? Okay, I have a Strike Support / support, Vastalord, Thrust Tactic. I have a Spirit Tactic. So Shinji would be a DPS. So I actually, what I need to replace right now is a Strike Tactic who's CNY level. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Don't make me. Don't make me. Come on, man. Oh, man. Dude, I gotta fucking put Kensai up here. No, I can't. He's not even TYBW. Komamura, an SSR Komamura would be cool, who's actually, like, limited. You know what? I think this is where we're gonna lead into a... I want a Baragon who's not a support. I know people have been saying support for a while for him. I don't want that. He has a big axe, a big ass axe, and I think that's awesome. And I think he should use it, and I think he should transform, and I think he should float around the battlefield, you know, disrupting the fights and being a menace. I also think that brittle, sort of aging as a concept, is a good support ability because it's sort of like a nebulous thing that you can use to apply like defense down. So let's say Baragon, definitely not as high up as Hogyaku Aizen. But we're running on fumes here. And Tactic, Adabel, huh? Would be the last one. Okay. Teased multiple times, it seems like TYBW threw the schedule out of whack. She will most likely be a Tactic, maybe Thrust, maybe Strike. I do not know. Too far ahead to be sure on her role. So right now I would have a support, Strike support, Flash support, DPS Ichigo. We've replaced Neliel. We've replaced Aizen. We've replaced Kenpachi. We've replaced Soifon. So who becomes the oldest character we need to get rid of after that? Okieta. It becomes Okieta. So Okieta needs to be replaced by a character. Interesting. That's pretty hard. Okieta needs a replacement. Huh. A replacement that's not a full DPS replacement that's not like too hype and is not TYBW. Yeah, I'm definitely having some issues with that one, huh? Let me think about that. You know what? Weirdly, I'm gonna say Yudahara. Yudahara is a pretty popular character in the overall scheme of Bleach in general. I think he rates pretty highly among the fan polls, and I think he's just like one of those characters who people like. He's a fun mentor character, fun scientist character, and when the game was initially being released, it was sort of stated that he would be a spirit character before being switched to a slash, which probably has more to do with him supporting Bankai Ichigo, who was the first limited SSR character. So, I think returning him to spirit, making him a full DPS, he could be, you know, a character who is, I don't know, just here for a bit. You know, they could still have Mugetsu show up and be a different typing, you know, doesn't really matter. But I think he's a character who could work. He uses a lot of weird sort of abilities. He's not a very like, I think of course, the girl who's in his shop, who's also in the game, one of the SRs who uses that giant like cannon. I think it could be something like that where his abilities being used are sort of flubbed. He could borrow the like system he has as a boss, where he uses that like circular thing and like seals people and stuff like that. Has like these weird sort of abilities, these you know, auto-reflective and otherwise odd things he does with his Shikai, instead of just being like a character who is like our version of him. While he does have his like ultimate and stuff, he's like leaving like a dummy and stuff like that. Like I think they could lean into the weirder elements of the kit that he has as a boss and give us someone to sort of just like tide us over, you know, give us a Yudahara, because it's been a very long time since we've it would be a very long time before we see him as a TYBW unit, for an example, right? Like I don't think Yudahara would show up as TYBW in the next 2 years, maybe not even 3 years or something like that. Like they're pretty far away from him, I think. So yeah, maybe he shows up as something. I think it would tide us over for a very long time. So yeah, there's the list. Very wacky, very you know, I must say the list looks a lot worse than Gikku's. When you can't use the characters that we're sort of just expecting, the list does just become some ass, doesn't it? It just becomes some ass. But there we have it. A little yoinkin twist on the boy. I've been Lone though. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the club, we'll go make it, and peace.